Hey, hello. So, today we are gonna find the answer to the question, is paragliding safe? And it's a difficult question, as you will see, different people have different opinions of that. Some paragliding professionals will tell you it's safe and fun, and they are providing equipment, training, travels, so they may be incentivized a little bit to say so. Some insurance companies will tell you it's a high risk, extreme sport activity. Your chances of dying are so high that if you want to buy a life insurance policy, you have to pay a hefty premium on that. So those are the two extreme answers to the same question. And what I do think about this? So I think that both of the answers are correct. They are both right. And which of them is correct in a given situation depends on skills, experience, knowledge, currency, wing, time, location, and weather. So depends on many factors. And in the following part, I would like to focus on two cases. So the two extreme cases. So first is the safe case, and the second is the dangerous. So when can paragliding be safe? So I believe it can be safe when the pilot has recent airtime, so he's able to handle piloting without thinking about this, and he has a mental space to do observation and planning of the things around him. So he has good and recent skills like the SIV and ground handling, and we mentioned SIV a lot before in this channel, but actually it's the ground handling that's the most important, because ground handling you're using at every takeoff. So mastering the wing on the ground is a policy for your safe takeoff, basically, and policy that decreases the risk of bad things happening on the takeoff. And SIV is your policy helping you or avoid bad things happening in case you get a collapse, or in case you get wild wing movements, or in case you stall your wing, for example, while thermaling very slow. It may happen. So those are the two important elements, skills that, that assure basic safety. And then it depends a lot on the pilot's experience. This is the practical part. And the theoretical part is the understanding, the very good understanding of risks. So risks related to the procedures. The procedures, what I mean is that preparing yourself to the takeoff so that you don't take off with open harness. Procedures means if you're on a collision course with someone else, you know which side, how to turn, which side, from which side to pass the other pilot. Procedures means you're on the landing and there are many people around. You know how to approach this landing in this in this situation, and many different procedures. So actually, how to behave, kind of like before the flight and during the flight, and sometimes also after the flight. But this is not as safe already if you're landing in strong winds. So how to disable your wings after the landing. And now the next point here in this experience understanding part is the location. So the pilot understands this place where he's flying very well, and the pilot also knows the risks related to this place, if there are any. Like for example, as places where you have like a turbulence, because you may have a perfect place and there will be one spot where there is like a lee side, maybe not obvious even, and you may get the turbulence like in one spot around in a nice place. ANSI is an example of that. ANSI is not the easiest place to fly, So it wouldn't be like a safe place in this safe paragliding uh, part, but there is actually a place where it's pretty safe. I mean, medium safe, but then you enter one particular spot and the helicopter is picking people out of this spot. They rescue every day almost, maybe not every day, but frequently. So this is the location. The weather. So the pilot has to understand the big weather picture. If he flies, for example, in Europe, then the weather in Europe, what's going on in the big picture, then what's going on in the local picture. And now if you are in the mountain, there are different levels, so what's going on in the really spot where you are and a little bit around you. And you're in the flatlands, and it's not so much change. Typical weather, if the weather is stable, it's not so much change. So you have to understand this to have a chance of having a safe paragliding experience. And then there is a wing. I believe that the only safe wings are actually A and low B wings. This is my experience. Because this type of wings, they are low energy, so they don't move any abrupt movements, and even if you get some crazy position because of something, they're gonna dampen out this energy and they're gonna stabilize over your head pretty quickly and slowly. So there are no surprises. And they have very low aspect ratio, so getting a cravat even after a collapse, getting a collapse is difficult. But if you get like getting a cravat that would pull you in the side, in my experience, non-existent. All the collapse I had, like in low B, they've always opened without cravat. And the other aspect is stalling this wing. Stalling this type of wings is very difficult. So if you panic or if you're very slow in the thermal, stalling this wing is very difficult. So actually, like putting this type of wing outside of its boring flying characteristics is pretty difficult from my experience. So you're experienced, you know what you're doing, you're trained, and you fly a simple wing. That won't surprise you. And then you're in a place and weather that's easy, basically. Easy means if you are flying like in thermals, so there are weak thermals and weak wind or no wind. And if you are soaring, then you are soaring in medium strength laminar wind, no thermals, no surprises. And in this place, you know that there is nothing that may change. So, for example, you may fly. So, not the negative example, place where you can change. What I mean is that you may fly in an area where there's a glacier somewhere next to you. And from time to time the air, so it's a nice day, nothing happens, but from time to time the cold air from the glacier is going to slide down and actually create like a crazy air going down, crazy cold air going down the slope, and actually may cause troubles and turbulence. So yeah, you're in a place where there are no surprises like this. Yeah, basically typical surprises I have in my mind are like this, like there is air accumulating, so like on one side of something and then dropping on the other, basically. So here, place like this, it may be pretty safe if you avoid surprises and places where the weather can change abruptly. And of course, now stormy weather. It's still okay, but it has in the weather forecast there's a chance for a storm, and you are in the mountain now, and in 5 minutes you may get like a stormy weather. So this is also the change that is potentially there, that must be avoided if the paragliding, if it should be safe. And now the next point here is the place where you fly. So if you know it very well, you know where to land, where to take off, you know where the dangers are if there are any. Yeah, you know everything about this place. And then it has predictable weather display, so that there is, as we already mentioned a bit, there are no surprises. It has weak or no valley winds if you're flying the mountain, so it's like large valleys, small mountain, or mountain only on one side. And the takeoff is easy, so it's huge, and there is little wind on takeoff, so actually no thermals, too strong thermals, and basically a lot of space to abort if you need. So this is a little bit like a quick definition of easy takeoff, and lots of easy landing spots, so like huge fields without obstacles where you can just land wherever you like. And it's the same, like the obstacles here is just the same in the flight, like you may have like cables, power lines, or cables to transport woods or stuff, something like this. So either you know them all very well, or there are very few of them. And if you are placed like this, so nice easy place, nice easy weather, nice easy wing, and nice easy pilot, then yeah, then it can be safe. I see no reason why it shouldn't be safe in this situation, because there is be little surprise that actually may happen. I mean, everything may surprise you, even in your at your home you may get surprised with something and basically theoretically die. But so it's not. But but it's all about the level of risk, and I believe in those conditions the level of risk um, is comparable with bicycling, probably, I would say. And now let's move on to when can paragliding be dangerous. So now you have a pilot that has little or no recent airtime, and so he's unsure under the wing, basically, because he flies little, and so a lot of his focus comes into piloting, and there is very little or no left to observation of outside world and planning actually of what's going on and predicting stuff. So it's very easy to get behind the game and just be reactive and to what's happening if you have little or no recent airtime. And if the pilot has no forget no good or recent skills like SIV and ground handling. So this is, we've seen a lot of videos on this channel already about this. SIV, you get a small collapse, spiral to the ground, no reason, and yeah, it's so tragic basically because there's no reason to do this. Or you get a spin entry. Not sure if you had a video like this, probably, yeah, we had some. You enter the spin, and then it's a very simple reaction to that, if you trained a lot to get it instinctively executed. So little perturbation or something, and if you don't have the skill, it may end up in a tragedy basically for no reason. So this is the SIV. And what I haven't mentioned, what I believe is actually the active piloting that's related to SIV, because in SIV, if you have the SIV skills, you are also active piloting skills, because in SIV you learn to understand the wing as pendulum, and you fly differently, you use your brakes differently than without this SIV experience. And ground handling. This is just so crude when you see so many people like a new wing, a mid-B wing, out the takeoff, struggling to take off because they lack a basic ground handling skills. And if you have unstable takeoff run, so to say, because of that, yeah, it may be, yeah, you may very easily get an accident and damage and injure yourself again for no reason if you have the ground handling. And so another one thing that is of course the lacking experience and no understanding of risks like the procedures. You don't check properly if you close your leg straps in a harness, and you may die. And or you are on a collision course with another pilot, and you go the wrong direction, and the other is confused, and you are confused, and you may crash for no reason. And yeah, and there are many other procedures basically. Like you're landing in a spot, we've seen just video where the guys crash because actually what they're doing on the landing is not the proper approach, but they do like kind of like flying around. Although it was not so obvious, little spot, but still, it's under this element. And now the location. Maybe you fly in a spot that's pretty easy almost everywhere, but there's a small place where there's a little bit of lee side, and if you get there, you get the collapse, and yeah, and you may get into the trouble. Or the weather. Maybe you don't understand the weather. You don't know what the big situation is, where the fronts are actually at the moment. Maybe there's a front approaching, and you're not aware of this, and it's pretty nice weather, and in a moment you're gonna have like a I'll say like the gusts of wind at 50 kilometers per hour because of the front approaching. Or maybe you're not aware that it's the air is very unstable, and it may turn into like a thunderstorm like in 10 minutes. What may happen in the mountain, or the thunderstorm may happen like 40 kilometers away from you, and through the valley system the wind will pick up like in the place where you are. So those are the risk factors basically that if you're not aware of them, yeah, the paragliding may get really dangerous very quickly, yeah, because of that. And now the wing. So everything above low B, so high B, C, D, CCC, they are all like higher aspect ratio. So getting chance of getting a cravat after a collapse is much bigger, and a cravat that drags you into auto rotation and into the ground. It's much easier to stall wings like this. So if you're panicking and do like you know some chaotic actions with your hands, wing like this is much easier to stall, and they are also much more dynamic. So if you get into like a turbulence or strong thermal, those wings they're gonna shoot forward much quicker and uh, much faster. And also if you get any perturbation like this, uh, putting them up over your head it needs either your skill in active piloting, or it may go through like huge shooting forward to the side and crazy shit basically, which is dangerous on its own. So this is the risk related to this high certification wings, and I've seen a pilot flying in a beginner pilot flying in a sitting harness in a soaring, but in a strong thermal conditions under a CCC high aspect ratio wing. It's just yeah, it's extremely dangerous to do something like this. And that's an extreme example, but high B is already maybe way too much. I mean, if you don't have like a ground scanning skills, even on the takeoff, if you have a high B, it's already much faster to take to put over your head. So you see tons of people on takeoffs who are just flying a little bit, apparently having no ground handling skills. New nice wing, mid B, and then somehow very popular recently with people with little skills, and you see the wing put they take off. I mean they don't take that, they put the wing over their head and it overshoots them and collapse in front of them. This is really dangerous, and because if this collapse happens where you already took off, then you make a turn into the ground and you're broken basically. The weather plays. So you are in strong thermal activity, the air is gonna move a lot, and yeah, and you may get a lot of movement of your wing to control. And even if you are the best in controlling the wing, you may get a collapse anyway, out of the blue, because this is just, you are just sitting under bits of cloth. So it's like, it's the nature of the sport. Or strong wind. Or strong wind mixed thermals, this is the best, because it's extremely turbulent. So now, then strong wind on its own may not be turbulent, and it depends, there are gusty and non-gusty wind. But if you get strong wind, if you get behind any obstacle, even without thermals, then yeah, then it may get very turbulent very fast. That's one aspect. The second aspect is the planning of your flight. You may not be able to get to the landing zone or to any safe zone. Actually, you may be blown behind the mountain in a turbulence in the lee side. You may be blown at the landing into like power lines. So strong wind is, there are many different aspects of dangers related to the strong wind, and basically like killing and injuring even the most experienced pilots. Soaring in strong gusty, so that was thermal flight, and now soaring. If you soar in strong and gusty wind, maybe mixed with strong thermals, then you also have a chance of getting collapse. And you're soaring close to the ground typically, so it's so much more dangerous getting collapse in conditions like this. And we've seen some videos in the channel like this, even recently. And surprises of the weather in this place. So basically the surprises are, well, I mean, example like cold air dropping down from a glacier, or like a phone type, kind of like a wind dropping down the mountain, and stuff like this, which is actually there, happens rarely, or like even like thunderstorm happens rarely, and you may be there and it may not happen for a week, so you start to ignore it, and then but the risk is always there, and then one time it happens and you're in big trouble. And then so it may be dangerous if the pilot is a weak pilot on a dynamic wing, or maybe he's even strong but on a dynamic wing, or maybe has a good wing and he's a good pilot, but he's in a shitty place, or shitty flying in a shitty weather. Or maybe oh, it's already like, okay, sorry. And or maybe not as well, or maybe he's in a shitty place, so the place that's unknown, so there may be some risk that he's not aware of, regarding to landing opportunities, or least turbulence, stuff like this, the wind direction changing on the altitude, or on the special on an area. I mean, this is more relevant to flying in the mountain than in the flatlands, but yeah, but there's a lot of stuff like this, maybe some obstacles, and that are not so easy to spot. And if the place has unpredictable weather, so this already, I mentioned this, but yeah, like they're dropping from summer, or thunderstorms happening, or a wind valley which may just pick up very quickly, or the wind valley may reach really high. Another surprise that may happen, or it has difficult takeoffs, so small places where you cannot abort maybe, or where there is very little margin. For, you've seen already video on this channel where you have little margin to pass over a tree, or next to a tree, or next to stones. Unfortunately, you'll see videos like this here on the channel. So, or when on the takeoff you have like strong thermals in front of the takeoff, so maybe danger. And also takeoffs that are, that this is like, this is unique, there's this 90-degree angle between the flat takeoff and then the cliff in front of it. You may have very different wind then, or even a bit of turbulence on the takeoff because of this. And the other aspect is the landing. So maybe there are very few landing spots, or there's one landing spot. Maybe it's very restricted with trees around, fences, power lines, and so it's difficult to approach it. And it's very little, it's very small maybe, so yeah, you have to be really precise. And if you don't make it, then yeah, there are trees or stones or something like this. Or maybe there's a tricky wind on the landing. Turbulence may happen. Thermals that may pick you up in the last moment. So there are many, or maybe you're landing on a slope with limited area and limited approach to this. So yeah, so those are all risk factors. So if you are a weak pilot or you have a dynamic wing, sporty wing, or you have a shitty weather, or you fly in a shitty place, then paragliding can get very dangerous and very fast. And the problem in paragliding is that even the small mistakes may basically cost you life. And this is happening unfortunately often. Or you may get thus disabled for life, or you may get out of the normal functioning for a long time because you broke a lot of stuff. Yeah. So the problem with paragliding is that the stakes are very high. You may lose it all, so to say, by paragliding. So, but so if something happens, so in my view, this is the essential part is not allowing that something happens. And or well, you cannot allow it, but decreasing the risk, you cannot not allow it, but you decreasing the risk that something happens. And now we come back to this, and by decreasing the risk, this is how I see that decreasing the risk actually, that you have excellent skills and understanding of what's going on, and not just understanding like theory but practical, which is the experience here. You are under a safe wing that won't surprise you, and that has little potential of doing getting like cravats or stalls, and you are in a place that you know that there is no wind, no weak wind thermal activity, everything is laminar, nice, no changes, no surprises, no potential of stuff changing and being dangerous, and you are in a place that you know very well, and again everything is predictable. There are no valley winds, so no different weather in different locations, basically no different weather, I mean with different wind in different locations, and it's easy takeoffs, easy landings, and no obstacles or little obstacles or tricky obstacles. You know them all. So basically in these conditions, yeah, actually the chance of something going wrong is pretty low. Um, but if any of those points is missing, then it can be extremely dangerous, and this is why the insurance companies probably do it, because being honest, there are many people who fly like this with some of those points like checked in. So if you just observe on takeoff, there are so many people like who cannot properly take off, and they fly. And this is like a strong. I mean, I've seen this in Dolomites, in the strong thermal conditions, strong wind, and people who just have zero ground handling, and which is also indicating a little bit of zero active piloting skills basically, and under like a mid B already pretty dynamic wing, and like either the wing goes to left, right, collapses in the front, or the wing is being stalled on the takeoff. I've seen this so many times. There was one guy in the Dolomites, he stalled his wings like 10 times before he was able to take off in the strong conditions. It's just mind-blowing. And now you enter a thermal, it starts to move a little bit, and what if you stall a wing? Like, this is just, I don't want to think about this even. So it's there are so many people And it's not just the videos that you watch, because there are probably not so very few videos of this comparing to how many people do paragliding. But just have a look on the takeoff and be honest with yourself. Where are you here? Are you taking extreme risks and doing extreme sport paragliding, or are you here on the safe side of things? And just summing up, this means basically that you fly same site on the same small area basically. You may fly XC, but this is gonna be XC in small XC, cross-country XC, is a cross-country flying, like small cross-country flying in weak conditions. Well, I mean, there are places where you can do like 100 kilometers like this, no problem, and yeah, without surprises basically. Like Bassano, for example, on a weekday. Even Annecy, like on a weekday, but it's not so easy because there you have valley winds. So Annecy is not actually a safe place, like 100%. I mean, really safe, like the one here. Yeah. But if you go for like big cross country, yeah, then you're inevitably taking risks, and then it's inevitably much more dangerous. Okay, so let me know what you think about this format. So not just watching people fighting for their lives or crashing, but analyzing this a little bit, and let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and like it if you liked it, or dislike it if you didn't like the video. Just yeah, give me honest feedback on what you think about this. And yeah, and see you watching another video pretty soon. Bye.